Hello. I don't really know how to start this video, if I'm completely honest. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about how I am 30 years old and I feel lost. I want this to be kind of a chatty video to really kind of go over why I feel this way and also maybe to create a community of like-minded people who also feel like they are at a certain age in their life and they feel lost. Now, I do know that I'm in a very privileged situation that I sit here in my rented flat to be thinking about that, but it's just something that has been going around in my mind for some time, so I wanted to just talk about it and come back to YouTube in some way with a long form video by doing this as well, because I haven't posted a long form video in a long time. And it's also part of the reason why I'm making this video, actually. So, let's go a little bit over myself and my background to kind of understand how I landed here, basically. So, I have been working since I was 16. My parents really wanted to teach my sister and I the value of money. So, if there were certain things that weren't a necessity, they were basically like, figure out how to get the money. So, I did, and I got a job when I was 16 working in retail, and it was fun in some way because we had some other students working there and we had a nice community at the shop, but I also was quite exhausting if I'm completely honest, because besides school, like I would go Friday right after school and then do the whole Friday evening basically, and they were open quite late here in Germany, and then I would do Saturday, all of Saturday. Now, obviously, that's only like a day and a half in terms of working, but when you have school, usually Monday through Friday, and we had school sometimes quite late, that still adds up. But there were certain things that I just wanted to do with my friends that, again, weren't a necessity. And while my parents sometimes would give me money for like the movie theater or something like that, it wasn't always, well, even possible to be honest at the time. So that's why I wanted to go work so I could actually do things with my friends. And when I finished high school, I decided that I didn't want to go study straight away, which is why I decided to do an apprenticeship. Now, in Germany, we have like a lot of different apprenticeships that you actually can do, which I think is a great system, if I'm completely honest, because not everyone is necessarily made for university and they give you great experience in terms of like work experience, but you also still go to school. So the one that I did actually took me across all of Germany from where I lived at the time. And that at 18, that was quite the change, I will say. And I was a fairly shy teenager, so in some ways, I'm very happy that I took this step because I think it shaped me a lot in terms of at least how I work and how confident I feel at work these days compared to, I think, if I had stayed at home with my parents and did an apprenticeship in the city that I grew up in. And it basically worked the way that, I would usually be, I think, 6 to 8 weeks normally at the company that I did my apprenticeship at. And then it's, I think, 2 to 4 weeks school in between. That's how it worked, at least with the one that I did. And it was honestly a great experience. Like, I learned a lot of things in regards to the topic that I chose, and I met a lot of different people. I also lived in a kind of like apprentice young student accommodation for women, which definitely was an experience. Like, I had a really tiny room with a sink, a bed, and a wardrobe basically in it. And we had to share bathrooms and kitchens, which, but all I can say is women can be incredibly dirty. That's all I can really say. And it was definitely an experience. Like, they closed the door at 9 p.m. You couldn't have like male visitors over, stuff like that. For sure was interesting, but it was a comparatively cheap accommodation in the city that I was living in, which was a very expensive city and still is. So that was really helpful because I actually managed to save up a fair amount of money during my apprenticeship as a result of that, and because there was some support my parents gave me as well. It was never enough to cover like rent or anything like that, but it was enough that it gave me breathing room to actually save up money, which was really good and helpful. So once I finished that, I decided to actually do go to university and study. It was sometimes I think more to appease my parents, if I'm completely honest. But not just that. I also thought I wasn't quite ready yet to go fully into work mode. So I felt going to university would give me enough of a buffer to grow up a little bit more, I suppose, before actually entering the workforce. So that's what I did. I went to university. I got lucky enough at the time to go to the UK and study there. And I was living in Scotland for over 8 years. Luckily, as EU citizen at the time, the student fees were covered by the Scottish government, which helped a lot, honestly, in terms of living there, because I didn't think otherwise I would have really been able to afford living there. The pound was very strong at the time. So even though I had a quite nice amount of savings within like the first couple months, I had to look for a job because I already saw the writing on the wall that there wasn't much time left and I would be out of money, even though I was basically eating beans and rice. Like literally, baked beans and rice is what I ate for a long time at university. So, yeah, I fairly immediately, I feel like, had to look for a job and get back into working. And that's what I did. Sometimes I'm surprised with how I survived some of that time. Like, I worked in retail and some of the timing was absolutely insane. Like, I literally had some days where I did the 6 a.m. shift to start tagging. I was a retailer, start tagging clothes, and then go and open the store, work until I think 10 or 11 a.m., depending on the day, then drive to university, do a couple lectures there, and then come back in the afternoon and do the closing shift as well until 8 p.m. And then sometimes my colleagues were like, oh, let's go out after. And I was like, yes, definitely. That's not insane when I have to be there for the 6 a.m. shift the next morning again. And I actually went out with them. Like, honestly, sometimes I really have to say, like, only when you're young are you able to do something this insane because I could not imagine doing that now. But it was in some ways a good time in so far that I met some really great people through working and also at university. So that was really good, but it also was just always really exhausting. I just honestly, especially in that time, I had time for basically nothing. It was just school, work, sleep, repeat. School, work, sleep, repeat. And like even for food, I barely had time. I was definitely my skinniest during that time because I had barely any time to eat even. And then I basically, when I completed my degree, got a job, thankfully, straight out of university. And I actually got one to work from home as well. And that changed things definitely for the positive quite a bit because I actually had more time to focus on myself. I had more time to actually do the hobbies that I enjoy doing. And that was quite good at the beginning. But as you can tell, maybe from me working at that retail store, I have a tendency to overdo it sometimes a little bit. And that kind of started happening already in that first job that I did. Now, this was even pre pandemic when I was working from home. So this was more of a like novelty at the time, comparatively how it went during the pandemic. And it was definitely new for me. I'd never worked from home before. And it was hard in the first couple years, even up until recently, for me to set boundaries to stop working. I had emails on my private phone. I would respond very late to chat messages and all that kind of stuff. And that's just, yeah, it's not good. That's why I'm doing this video now. So that's kind of continued into the next job that I took up as well, which also was work from home, albeit with the option to go to the office, which I sometimes did as well. And it is just something that I've been implementing now over the past couple of months where I'm really drawing the line where I'm saying, like, no more on my private phone. When I'm done with my work, ideally after my 8 hours, but when I'm done with my work, I put away my laptop, I put away my work phone, and I don't look at it until the next day. Now, does it always work out in terms of the 8 hours? Nope. Nope, it does not. But that is kind of the next thing to work on for me to really try and work my normal hours because at the end of the day, let's face it, no one is thanking me for doing this overtime. No one is thanking me for putting all that effort in, and I'm replaceable. That's something I definitely had to realize in the past couple months, and that no one is thankful for it, and I'm replaceable. So that's why I want to take a bit of a step back. That doesn't mean I don't give 100% during the time that I am working, but I don't want this to continue where I constantly put overtime into a company that isn't even thankful for it. Like, for what? Let's face it, for what? So, that is something I am working on as a next step to kind of establish that work life balance, to establish that I just yeah, I have a life outside of work. I've been living to work, not working to live. And that's the wrong approach entirely. Again, I don't own this company, I don't own shares in it. That's like, I shouldn't give up my life just for this company. And I feel sometimes, especially when you work full time, of course, it's easy to forget that, especially if everyone around you does it as well. It's easy to forget life outside of work. It's easy to forget who you are outside of work, because my work persona is definitely different than my private persona. 100%. I'm a very different person, to the point where sometimes people are like, are you at work like this as well? And I'm like, no, of course not. I'm very different. I have a work persona like most people do. And that's why I wanted to sit down and talk about this, because I don't think I'm the only one that feels this way. I don't think I'm the only one who probably feels quite burned out from all the work we've put into companies that aren't thankful for it. And I think other people probably feel a similar way of wanting to take a step back maybe and focus more on yourself. I want to figure out maybe some new hobbies even. I want to figure out who I am. I want to do things that I enjoy. I have a pretty large gaming library for my Switch and on Steam that I haven't gotten around to playing in a very long time. And I want to. Like, I have these games, I bought these games because I want to play them, because they interest me, because they're up my alley. So it's kind of insane that they've been just lying around there the whole time, not getting played because I work all the time. Besides the fact that I also just, I try to really make sure that at least my cats get a lot of playtime and everything, and enough attention, cuddles, and all that. And it helps me as well. I mean, cuddling my cats picks up my mood. There's serotonin definitely being released when I do that. But I do want to even be present more for them as well, because I do sometimes still feel it's not enough. I do have two cats, so at least they can play with each other. But it's still a situation where I want to do more, and I want to be more present in my private life. I want to do more with my friends. I want to do more with my family as well. That all has kind of gone to the wayside and has been put to the side in these past years. And now it's time that I take back my life, I say. And that includes making videos, for example. I used to do videos here on YouTube a good 4 years ago. And while I don't necessarily want to just do like unpacking, unboxing, hauling videos all the time like I used to, I do want to do long form videos again. I've been doing some shorts recently, which has been a lot of fun, but I do want to do long form videos again, because I can be creative when I do these. And it's nice to build a community of like minded people. So I have ideas for some, gaming vlogs. I do want to talk about some of my tech that I've been having. Like, I have a MacBook Air for a couple of years now that I've been wanting to make a video on for ages, in terms of like long-term usage and why I still love it and all that, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So now I want to. And if that's something that sounds like you want to follow along, then, leave a like and subscribe. But also, just if you feel like you want to also find this community of people, I guess, taking back their life, then join me along maybe. There will be more videos to come. I can't exactly say like how many. I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm going to post like every other day, every Friday or something like that. I'm going to post when I have a video actually ready. But I do want to get back into the habit of making videos, and honestly taking people along now on this journey, that hopefully in a year from now I can sit down and say, hey, I'm 31 and I found myself. So if you want to follow that next year along, and hopefully I can do and remember to do this video in a year to talk about how the past year has changed me, then join me, follow along, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye.